On your whiteboard, please tell me 3 reasons why imperialism occurred and what they're looking for. Give me 3 reasons why imperialism occurred. Good. Come on, come on, come on. Good. What do they look for, Maya?
Resources, markets, and events.
There you go. Why do we need ports? Why is military? Why do we need ports? Why is it a big deal, Vanessa? Okay. Why all of a sudden? We haven't really cared about it before. Why the change, Reed? There you go. Very nice. Need the fuel for the iron ships. On your whiteboard, please tell me. What is the name of the gentleman behind the white man's burden? What is the name of the gentleman behind the white man's burden? He believes it is the responsibility of Europeans to educate the rest of the world. He believes that Europeans clearly are superior because they industrialize and no one else has. Alexandra. Kipling. On your whiteboard, please tell me, what is the name of the gentleman who believed that if we did not imperialize as European nations, then it would cause a civil war and would lead to the destruction of our own countries? That it's a necessity, not out of corruption. Sophia. Sure, sounds good to me. On your whiteboard, what construction is going to decrease world travel, increase world trade, and it will be started by the Egyptians, finished by the British, and if you control this, you control the world trade. What is it, Jessica?
The Suez Canal.
Suez Canal. On your whiteboard, what was built by the United States in order to increase trade? It is important because it does have an influence, but not nearly as powerful as the Suez Canal. What is it? Max. Panama Canal. On your whiteboard, please tell me, what is the first industrialized military conflict where the Europeans are going to show how powerful they really are? It's also going to show the unfair advantage the Europeans have over locals. What is it, Lily? Sounds good to me. On your whiteboard, in the Battle of Omar Durman, however you say it, the British are killing what group of people? Diane, who are they killing? Sudanese. On your whiteboard, please tell me what invention is going to allow for direct control to occur because it allows communication to go within 5 hours. Adrian. On your whiteboard, the British take over India from what Indian empire? What Indian empire? What is it? Emily. The Mughal. On your whiteboard, please tell me, when the British first show up to the Mughal Empire, they set up what in India? And this will last for about 600 years. It's a company. Good. What is it, Micah? East India Trading Company. There you go. On your whiteboard, what do we call Indians who fight for the British? Good. What are they, Jack? Sepoys. On your whiteboard, please tell me, what year is the Sepoy Rebellion? Good. What year, Alex? Sandra? 1857. On your whiteboard, at the core of the Sepoy Rebellion, what was it about? Good. What is it about? What is it about, Micah? It's about religion at the core, but they're fighting over what, Dean?
Fat.
Specifically animal fat, yes. On your whiteboard, please tell me. We already did the outcomes of that. That's fine. On your whiteboard, where did we get to?
British rule or something?
Okay, perfect. All right, here we go. All right, so we got to the British imperial rule. After the Sepoy Rebellion, the British are going to complete direct rule. There's no more illusion of the Mughal Empire. The EOC gets completely blamed for it and is completely disbanded after about 600 years of service. Everyone good? Perfect. Here we go. So the British rule. The British are going to put a lot of themselves into the Indian culture. They're going to see that. Now, the big thing you need to know next is the Great Game. The Great Game is essentially the first Cold War ever in history. What is a Cold War? Okay, we typically refer to it as a Cold War between us and Russia. But what is the term Cold War, Isabella?
It's like a war without actual fighting.
Absolutely. There's sabotage, there's intrigue, there's rising tension, but there's no actual direct conflict. There's no guns going off. The Great Game is the first Cold War. It is between England and Russia. Both England and Russia have their eye on Afghanistan, and the Russians and the British are literally tiptoeing back and forth, increasing tension, trying to take over it. It's important for this reason. It will increase European nationalism. It will increase European nationalism and European militarism. What is the difference between nationalism and patriotism? What is the difference? Max?
Patriotism is just pride for your country. Nationalism is pride for your group, individual group. Like, it's saying that you're, like, all white people, all white Christians should make their own country rather than be part of
Sort of. You're kind of getting a little off. Okay, patriotism. I consider myself a patriot of the United States. I know that America is flawed. There's a lot of things in our history that when I point out, I'm not very kind to the United States about, correct? Especially when we talk about the native culture being completely eradicated under Andrew Jackson. I was not very kind about the United States. However, I think we're a great country and I'm very proud of where I live. Okay? That's patriotism. I understand the flaws, I understand the strengths, and I'm proud of where I'm from. Nationalism is if Alexandra believes the United States is a crappy country because we did terrible things to our natives, I beat the crap out of her. And then she'll be like, and you don't mess with the United States again, okay? And then she's like, oh my God. Nationalism is an aggressive form of extreme patriotism where if anyone says anything, it results in conflict. Do you see the difference between the two? That your country is the best country no matter what. Okay? This is going to lead to World War I. Every country thinks they're the best country, and everyone's making fun of each other's country, and it goes to World War I. So, the Great War is going to increase militarism, which means every country is going to be building up its military as fast as possible, because if England invades Afghanistan, Russia's going to invade, and everyone's going to go to war, right?
Great Game is a great war.
The Great Game is going to be the foundation of nationalism and militarism. The Great War, or World War I, is going to start because of nationalism and militarism. So the Great Game is going to lay that foundation. All right. You're good. Scramble of Africa. Here we go. So the Scramble of Africa is the imperialism in Africa. We call it the Scramble of Africa because European countries are going to divide it up amongst themselves. Now, what two countries are going to be the most powerful countries in Africa? Maya?
France and Britain.
France and Britain. France is going to be on what coast, Maya?
West.
West Coast. Who's on the East Coast? There you go. So, England and France are the ones going to be dividing up most of Africa, but we have a bunch of other countries in between it. It's important that you understand that the raw materials are going to be a huge attraction. Now, something unique about the English is that they rewrite African history to prove that Africans have always needed the British. They do this as a psychological ploy in order to gain more approval. Okay? It's easier. Think about it. If China came over today and took over the United States, they would change our history very, very quickly. They would rewrite our history to say that we've always depended on China and that China has always been the better country than we are and that they have always kind of protected and provided for us. Why?
That make it seem like we still need them.
That we need them to justify their rule, correct? And to show that we are weaker than them, correct? That's exactly what the British were doing. It's a psychological warfare. All right, so the Boer War, that's your next big thing. Write down Boer War. Okay, so the Dutch send farmers to South Africa. I'd write that down. The Dutch send farmers to South Africa. In parentheses, Boers are what we call them. Okay, so they're Dutch. they have the nickname of Afrikaners. Okay, so Boers are Dutch people who go to South Africa. Afrikaners is their nickname. Yes, everyone's clear? This is only going to get more confusing. Okay, so they start farming in South Africa. They naturally have the local indigenous population is not really thrilled about it, correct? Because do you think these Afrikaners are taking okay land or the best land? The best land, and they're kicking off the indigenous people. So there's obviously going to be a conflict between the indigenous and these Dutch people. Well, the problem is that the Dutch is not known for their military power at this point, correct? So the British are like, oh my God, this is a great opportunity. So the Dutch come in. The Dutch can't do anything for the Afrikaners. So England comes in and says, oh my God, let me help you in 1806. They come in and they say, hey, we'll give you your land. And so they come in and they defeat the indigenous population. Then they say, all right, Afrikaners, you can do you over there, we'll do us over here. So they give the Afrikaners a certain piece of land in the northern region, and Britain takes the southern region. Does that make sense? They come in, they've defeated the locals, the Afrikaners get their region, the British get theirs, everyone's okay for a while. They're okay for a while until the discovery of gold in the Afrikaners region. Who do you think is now bitter that they put them in that region? The British. They're like, damn it. We gave them that land, which really wasn't their land in the first place, but that's a whole other conversation. We gave them this land, and there is lots of gold, ladies and gentlemen. So the British are like, oh my God, I want it. Ta-da, we have the Boer War. It's between the British and the Dutch over rights to gold. Okay, it goes from 1899 to 1902. Eventually, the Afrikaners are going to be overthrown by the British completely. The British take over all territory. They don't have any special privileges anymore, and the British get the gold. Okay? Why is this important? Why is this important, Dean?
Just to discover gold, but I'm pushing more inward.
Okay, yes, there's more gold. Yes, they're pushing inward. Yes, they're leaving the coast. But what's the biggest thing here that makes you unique, Jessica?
Britain is so powerful.
Okay, Britain is powerful, yes. They're conquering a ton of territory, just like France. But what is the biggest thing, Max? For the first time, it is European versus European and African soil. What is that showing us about African Europeans right now? No. I mean, everyone likes gold. What, Maya?
They're like nationalists.
They're nationalists, and they're also incredibly competitive right now. Can we agree? That it's no longer just about killing indigenous populations, which doesn't really threaten anything. Can we agree? Do you think the Europeans really see the indigenous populations as people? No? Is it a threat to worldwide security? No. It's like, oh, wow, you killed a couple people. Oh, my God, who cares? That's literally how they feel. The reason why the Boer War is a big deal is because it's the first time two European countries are fighting each other. These two European countries are fighting each other over a territory in Africa. It shows that competition is becoming so cutthroat that if something doesn't stop them from fighting, the whole world will go to war over resources. Does that sound like a problem? Hello? Absolutely. So, in order to avoid that, we have the Berlin Conference. Dun, dun, dun. And the Berlin Conference is in what city, ladies and gentlemen? Berlin, yeah, it's in Berlin. That was a tricky one for first period this morning. Fun fact. The Berlin Conference is going to invite 14 European nations to come together and discuss the rules for imperializing Africa. There are no Africans invited. Why are no Africans invited? Who can raise your hand and tell me why no Africans are there, Vanessa?
They just oppose it.
No, not even that. Not even that. Why, Dean?
Because the Europeans believed that it was their right.
They didn't even consider the Africans, thoughts in this. Not even that they would oppose it, Vanessa. Because they naturally would oppose it. They literally could have cared less to have even mentioned it in front of it. It's just like if your parents decide that they're going to do something and they don't even ask you your opinion. They just kind of do it. Like your mom has made a decision or your dad has made a decision what's for dinner tonight, correct? Are you always brought in on council? No, because it's really not a big deal because it happens all the time. That's how Europeans see the Berlin Conference. They don't need to ask the European Africans because it's just a thing. There are two major rules that come out of the Berlin Conference, and you're going to need to know this. First thing is, if a European country can defend the borders of its territory, it belongs to them. So say, for instance, did you guys ever, with your brother and sister have to fight for, like, food? Like, you wanted something, so the first person to get it has it, like the last slice of pizza and stuff like that, okay? It's essentially how they divided up Africa. If you conquered a territory and you could defend it, it's yours, no questions asked. It's literally first come, first serve, I guess. The second rule is you're not allowed to kill white people. Now, what is really important about that statement? You're not allowed to kill white people. What is kind of jarring about that statement, Vanessa?
Because they just have a war.
No, they are not allowed to kill white people. Lauren, what's so jarring about it?
They can kill Africans.
Absolutely. You can kill as many Africans as you want. If you want to kill everyone in your little village, do you. You're not allowed to kill white people, though. What does that show us about the difference between European and Africans?
They see Europeans as like superior.
And of value. And the Africans are disposable. Okay? So those are the two big things that come out of it. It is important that you need to know that Ethiopia is the only African country that is going to be able to prevent a European country from taking over. They're going to receive guns from the United States. They're going to be able to defend their borders. Keep in mind, Italy is the last to industrialize of our industrialized European countries. So they are pretty weak. It's a great victory for Ethiopia, obviously. It's not going to be... it's going to have major payback here in the 1930s when Italy fully industrializes and Mussolini goes in there and literally murders pretty much everyone in Ethiopia out of revenge. So, All right, to the boards. Here we go. On your whiteboard, please tell me what do we call the division of Africa by Europeans? That whole movement of Europeans, what do we call it? What's its nickname? Good. What is it, Cheyenne? Scramble of Africa. On your whiteboard, please tell me what is the first Cold War. It's going to increase both militarism and nationalism in Europe. This will directly cause World War I. What is the first real? Alexandra?
The Great Game.
The Great Game. The Great Game is between what two countries? Jack, who are they?
Russia and Britain.
There you go. On your whiteboard, please tell me what country is going to rewrite African history in order to make it easier to control the populations? Good. Who is it? Sophia?
The British.
The British. On your whiteboard, please tell me what are the two names we use to refer to Dutch farmers in South Africa? What are the two names we refer? Good. Isabella?
Afrikaners and Boer.
There you go. On your whiteboard, what is the real, what did we learn from the Boer War? What did we learn from the Boer War? What do we learn? What do we learn, Jessica?
The European competition is tight.
There you go. European competition is incredibly fierce. So what meeting occurs in order to limit European competition, in order to protect white people's lives? Good. What is it, Max?
Berlin Conference.
Berlin Conference occurred in what date? What years? What's the date range of the Berlin Conference? Good. Cheyenne, you're killing it today, by the way.
1884 and 1885.
Perfect. On your whiteboard, please tell me What is the only country that is able to push back on the European countries? They're the only ones allowed to defeat. No one actually tried taking Liberia, which is why Ethiopia has that title. God damn it. Maya, what is that? Ethiopia. Who was not invited to the Berlin Conference? There we go. Who is it, Lily? Africans. Here we go. So, colonial rule. There's 3 different formats of colonial rule. The first one is concessionary companies. Okay? These are private companies. These are the 3 types of ruling of colonies. First one is concessionary companies. They are literally for-profit companies going into the country to exploit it for natural resources. We still have these today. Who go into Africa, and they're called blood diamonds. Have you heard of that expression?
Yeah.
Okay, those are concessionary companies. They have a lot more rules today. However, they're still not good, which is why they're called blood diamonds. They're all for profit. The example that you need to tie to this is Belgium, the Belgium Congo. So all you need to do is write down concessionary companies. They're for profit. Companies exploiting natural resources. Example, Belgium, Congo. Your next one is direct rule. Direct rule is France. Every country that the French take over, Algeria is a big one because they hold on to it the longest. They are going to do direct rule, which means they control every single aspect. There is no misunderstanding that the French are in charge. They also do assimilation. 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 They force French culture on all colonists. They force French culture on everyone. What that means is you're no longer allowed to speak your native language. You have to speak. If you go to school in West Africa, you have to learn about the 4 French rivers in France. You don't learn about local geography, you learn about French geography. How does that have any purpose? And local people are not going to live in France, but they have to learn about the 4 rivers, you have to learn about all the mountains and all that stuff like that. They're also going to force that. An indirect rule is your third. Indirect rule is championed by the British, except in what territory? India. India is direct rule. Why is India direct rule, not indirect rule like the rest of its colonies? Why, Max? Okay, the support rebellion is going to force it to be a direct, is going to be the final hand. Is India more valuable or less valuable than its other colonies? It's more. It's known as the crown of India. It's the crown jewel of the British crown because of how valuable it is. India is the only one that the British do direct control. Everything else is indirect, which means, okay, if China takes over the United States today, indirect rule means they allow Donald Trump to stay our president. China tells Donald Trump what to say. Donald Trump tells us what to say. That's indirect rule. There's an illusion of power. Does that make sense? Okay, everywhere except in India. All right, that's all you need to know because I got to get through a couple other things. All right, England is going to make Australia a penal colony. What's a penal colony? Dean? Criminals. All of your debtors are going to go. Eventually, they will find gold there, so people go by choice. You're going to. The British love the term land belonging to no one. Why is that offensive, Max?
That's the Aborigines.
Yeah, the Aborigines are there. All of your they really do champion this term, the land belonging to no one. They feel they have a right. They also are going to take New Zealand under their control. Okay, all right. Pacific Islands. Do write Oceania. That's all you need to have for it. Write Oceania as your title. Whaling is going to be a huge import-export. Why do we need whales? Why is whales so important? Isabel?
Their fat can be used to make like different things, like wax or something.
Okay, what, Jack?
Petroleum.
Petroleum. Whale byproducts are at the height, at their most wealthy, or no, that's not the highest price point they'll ever be in history. Whales are being hunted in the Atlantic and in the Pacific. This is necessary for your lamps. This is for your makeup. This is for a lot of your household products are coming from whales. Whale fat burns really slowly. And so it's a big deal. You're going to see that that's going to be the largest export coming out of Oceania and the Pacific Islands. You're also going, that's all you need to know. Oh, you also have like missionaries. Have any of you seen Prayers or whatever? That new movie with Garfield, Andrew Garfield? I wouldn't think you would go see it. It's clearly a religious movie. No? Okay, it's about this time period, just saying. All right, U.S. imperialism. There we go. U.S. imperialism. At this time, we have James Monroe as our president. James Monroe this is one of the most controversial things in U.S. history. It's called the Monroe Doctrine. He issues it on executive order. Isn't this so timely? A lot of people have issues with the fact that Trump has signed so many executive orders. Is that legal? Is it not? Well, James Monroe is actually one of the first people to really do it in a big way. And his Monroe Doctrine is going to state these two things. Please write these down. The Monroe Doctrine states the U.S. is the protectorate of all of the Western Hemisphere. The Monroe Doctrine states the U.S. is the protectorate of all Western Hemisphere countries. Who can raise their hand and tell me what that means? What does that mean, Dean?
That like it's kind of like over all the other different countries.
What does it mean? Simplify. What does it mean? The protectorate. Dean. It's the protector of all Western Hemisphere countries. Does this sound like a good thing? Hello? Yes, that sounds like a good thing. Protecting other countries sounds like a good thing. This is where things get a little sticky. The second part of the Monroe Doctrine says it is the United States' right to limit European involvement. Who can tell me what that means? Max?
European involvement in what?
Everything.
So it means that the British have less. They're saying that the Europeans have less control over all aspects of life.
Okay? What it means, ladies and gentlemen, is that the United States gets to control who's allowed to trade in the Western Hemisphere and who's not allowed to trade. Who does that benefit? The United States. We get to decide who they trade with and who they don't get to trade with. Do we see why it's controversial now? Okay. This is called economic imperialism. This is the type of imperialism we do. It is important that you do understand we are an imperialistic nation. We just call it economic imperialism. We control the Western Hemisphere. Okay? Specifically, even more timely, is look at what's happening with Mexico. Have you noticed that avocado prices have gone up? Have you? They've gone up almost twice, almost 2 times its price from last week. If you go to the grocery store now, the prices have already increased significantly. In case you haven't been following what is happening, Donald Trump has said Mexico is going to build that wall. And no, we're going to build the wall. They're going to pay for it. Remember? Yes? Okay. So he's gone ahead, and the president of Mexico says absolutely not. And Donald Trump has made a couple threats. They've made a couple threats. All of a sudden, he said that we are going to charge tariffs on any goods coming from Mexico, which means Americans are going to pay more for Mexican goods in order to stop, because Mexico depends on us more than anything. Why does Mexico depend on our country more than any other country in the world? Why does Mexico depend on our country for all of its exports than any other country, Micah? Why does Mexico depend on our country and other Latin American countries depend on the United States more than any other country in the world, Adrian?
The Monroe Doctrine.
The Monroe Doctrine forced them to only trade with us, which made them dependent entirely on us. So when we get mad at Mexico, it's our fault. the Monroe Doctrine. They had no choice. They had to depend entirely on us. So the prices have already gone up for avocados. So I'm afraid when I go to the Green Lemon this weekend and order my guacamole, I'm going to pay more because the prices have already gone up. In my restaurant, they've already had to change prices on menus because we have a ton of items with guacamole, with avocados in it, and we aren't able to afford it. We're losing money every time we have things in it. So it's a huge thing. I mean, avocados aren't going to like change the world, but you know, it's South Tampa. People will rebel if they don't get their avocados. Dean.
Still on the stage, though.
What? No. We get shamed out of it, of enforcing it in the 1890s. No, and after World War I, we get kind of shamed into it, but don't worry, we're going to step up our game. We're not going to call it imperialism. We're going to call it Americanism. And we're going to set up our own thing here. So don't worry, it just changes. All right. We're going to purchase Alaska from Russia. Okay, because you can see Russia from your house if you're in Alaska. You see what I did there? See what I did there? That was a Palin joke. 1875, Hawaii. We are going to organize a coup. What is a coup? We've talked about it many times. What's a coup, Lily? Oh my gosh. It's French, first of all, so it makes it fancy. It's not a revolt. What is it, Jack?
Political overthrow.
Yes. Yes. Have any of you ever been to Hawaii? I've been to Hawaii. It's pretty boss. You went this year. If you've been to Hawaii, they really don't like white people. They really don't. If you go to Hawaii, you stay in your touristy places. You don't really like go out into like the Hawaiian place. Like you stay by the bases, stay by your like hotels and stuff like that. You'll be totally fine. No one's gonna bother you there. But if you go out into like the actual like real Hawaiians, like real life places where they live, they don't like white people. And the reason is because white people came into Hawaii and overthrew their country, killed their queen, in order to get cheaper sugar prices and cheaper pineapples. So we overthrew their government, completely eradicated their culture, in order to get cheaper sugar, cheaper pineapples. Hawaii. Who is one of the major people involved in the coup, ladies and gentlemen? Think about it. Think about it. What is the last name of one of the major people in the coup that overthrew the Hawaiian Islands?
Hawaii.
Dole. Dole pineapples. There you go. There you go. So every time you eat Dole products, just know they destroyed Hawaiian culture. So they're still bitter about it today, which makes a lot of sense. If China took over us in 1875, we'd be still pretty pissed, wouldn't you agree? Hence why, if you go to Hawaii, stay near our touristy places, things can get really rough. What? Oh, and also, Hawaiians actually don't make pretty much any money off of tourism. It's all your hotels are owned by white people, Jews, or now the Japanese. So the actual Hawaiian people are literally just working in the hotels and working in tourist industries. Only about 7% of Hawaiians own their own business. So, fun fact. So, would you be better if you were Hawaiian too? Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Dean?
You guys know about Dole?
No, that's just a fun fact. So when you eat your pineapples and it's Dole, you know that they eradicated the culture of Hawaii. You're fine. I love pineapples. I had pineapples this weekend. All right, here we go. So the Spanish-Cuban War, U.S. declared war on Spain after the battleship Maine is sunk. They take possession of Cuba, Puerto Rico, Guam, and the Philippines. What's going to happen? U.S. is going to intervene. We're going to use this as our declare that we can get involved in whatever we want. We win the Spanish-Cuban-American War. Cuban gains their independence because we let them. And this gives us the right to control everything that we want. So that's good. All right, Panama Canal. You need to know Teddy Roosevelt does it. There is two people. Please stop and look at me because I just literally can't. I can't. There's a couple things I just can't in history. First one is Martin Luther and Martin Luther King Jr., two separate people. We get that, right? One's a white guy who's a monk in Germany. One's a black guy who led a civil rights movement here in the United States. Two separate people. We have Theodore Roosevelt. Then we have Franklin Delano Roosevelt. They're two separate people. They're about 4 presidents apart from each other. Teddy Roosevelt is the closest thing you're going to get to like a local hero here in Tampa. Okay, when people talk about the Rough Riders, hello? You know how we had Gasparilla last weekend? That was the Spanish-American War that the Rough Riders gathered here in Tampa, got drunk, burned down half of Tampa, by the way. Probably didn't tell you that. And got on a ship and went to Cuba. Okay? FDR is World War II. He is the American hero who led America through World War II, gathered the troops, and moved on. 2 separate people. Okay? Teddy Roosevelt's been in the news lately because have you heard about the National Parks rebelling against Trump's orders? Hello? And people are doing rallying cries from Teddy Roosevelt. Teddy Roosevelt was a hero for the national parks. He's the reason why we have Yellowstone, why we have all the other ones. Why can't I think of the other ones? The Badlands are pretty cool, stuff like that. He's the reason why we have it. They're 2 separate people, damn it. They're cousins, but they're 2 separate people. So please know that. All right, so he is going to lead an insurrection against Colombia. He wins Panama, gains the territory to build the Panama Canal, which is going to be built underneath him. And he's going to use the Monroe Doctrine as his tool to do it. Okay? He believes that the Monroe Doctrine gives him the ability to intervene in domestic affairs of other countries. What a great piece of legislation. That the United States sends out the Monroe Doctrine saying that, oh my God, the United States, we're in charge over here, and then now we can interfere in Panama's business, we can interfere in the Caribbean's business, we can interfere in anyone else. Teddy Roosevelt's the first one to actually use it, and there we go. All right, Japanese. Here we go. So Japan. Okay, biggest thing you need to know about Japan: the Sino-Japanese War. Sino-Japanese War, Japan wins Korea. Now next to Japan, where you wrote Japan, write the only Asian industrialized country. You need to know that. Does this give them a big advantage? Yes. It also makes other people concerned. Okay, the Russo-Japanese War, who wins? Japan. Who's incredibly embarrassed? Russia. Okay, the Japanese get this. Okay, the reason why the Russo-Japanese War is important is because it shows Europeans like, damn, Japan. And people now kind of leave Japan alone after that. They're like, damn. Not that anyone really respects Russia, but the Russo-Japanese War shows Europeans that Japan's not really something to mess with. They will fight back. And they have the ability to do so. So Japan gets kind of free reign to do whatever they want as long as they don't interfere with other European countries. Is that going to be a problem? Hello? This leads directly because of European countries are afraid of Japan because they don't want to deal with another they don't want to fight with 2 industrialized countries. They're going to leave Japan alone to do whatever they want in Asia. That's going to be a problem starting in the 1930s. Japan is going to start building its empire. By the 1930s, Japan is completely out of control. By the 1940s, they're bombing Pearl Harbor because we're a threat to their empire. Okay? And it's because of the Russo-Japanese War. Because they're allowed to be isolated because of their power. Because Europeans are like, oh my God, I'm not going to fight Japan. It's not worth it. They're industrialized. They can kill me back. So they leave them alone. That's eventually going to lead to World War II when they bomb Pearl Harbor and start that. All right, what we're going to see is that colonized states are going to exploit natural resources. Of course, we have in the colonies, your colonists are starting to depend on manufactured goods. There is a dependence on manufactured goods. So if you're in West Africa and you've been getting some really nice fleece jackets like Reed has from Europe, and you're like, damn, like I like this. This is comfortable. I'm warm. Are you going to continue to buy them? Hello? Yes, just like we do. There are certain things that you will pay good money for because you like them, correct? Okay? Like I am very partial to Vineyard Vines shirts. They are so damn comfortable, but they are expensive. $95.
For sure.
Yeah, but they're so soft. Have you ever worn like a Vineyard Vines, like the little t-shirt ones? Oh my god, well it's the whale shirts that everyone has. Yeah, they're so damn comfortable. Like those long sleeve t-shirt ones are like $65. But if you have them, it's like you're being hugged by like a warm cloud. It's so comfy. True, not true. Anyone else own one? It's nice. It's nice. I will pay good money for that. I have like 4 or 5 of them, and I will pay good money for that because I like it. Same thing with our colonists. They get a taste for manufactured goods, and they're willing to pay for it. So not only, yes, imperialists are bad, but now the colonists are starting to depend on these goods. And they're like, oh my god, I really like that though. Like, oh my god. Like, for instance, if China took over the United States, that'd be absolutely horrific. Can we agree? However, the dim sum game here in the United States would improve significantly. And that would be awesome, because I love dim sum. It would be boss. However, I don't want my country taken over. Does that make sense? But there would be some positives. Dean?
Is that why like whaling became popular in Oceania?
No, Dean. No. Other big thing, Indian cotton. Indian cotton. It is important you understand that Indian cotton is going to become popular after the American Civil War. Why are the British going to start planting cotton in India after the American Civil War? Why, Max? There's like no cotton production because during the 4 years of the Civil War, do you think they're planting cotton? You think they were harvesting large amounts of cotton? Guess what's still happening around the world when the American Civil War is happening? Industrialization. So all of a sudden the world is like, oh my god, we need cotton. It's a huge decrease in cotton around the world. So England's like, all right, India, I see you. You can grow some cotton. So now today, India is the largest producer of cotton in the world. And it is because of the American Civil War. If the American Civil War didn't happen, America would still have it as probably our largest export. Now, I think there are some good things about this. Slavery is now abolished because we don't have cotton, but it's a huge change in power. So England was paying the United States lots of money in order to get cotton. Now the world's paying England to get cotton. Sounds like a pretty good deal for England, don't you think? Okay, so England always wins, ladies and gentlemen. They win for 800 years. All right, labor migrations. Europeans are moving to temperate areas, okay? They're moving to areas where there's economic growth. Africans, Asians move to tropical, okay? They're looking for more locations to work. People are moving for work, and that's the first time we really see this. I think we can all agree that our colonists are not just going to accept what has happened to them. In Africa, it's important that you understand, ladies and gentlemen, that the Africans are fighting back. They just don't have the technology to really wage a war. Does that make sense? Do not think for 2 seconds that the Africans, the Indians, your Chinese are just hanging out saying, oh my god, I guess we're British now. They're fighting back, but they're just not able to lead a movement and really change their stars essentially because of it. You're also going to have scientific developments. Darwin is going to be popping up around this time. This is going to be used for social Darwinism, and that's going to be used to justify racism. And I really want to get through. All right, nationalism is going to really start going. You have the Indian National Congress. The British do allow the Indian National Congress to develop in order to help influence rule in their country. Who is the most famous congressman from the Indian Congress? Dean? Gandhi is going to be a Congress member. Okay. You are going to see, we'll get to that. Okay, perfect. I think I'm dying. Okay, better. All right. You're also going to have Darwinism is going to start, and they're also going to use it for social Darwinism. This is justification. Social Darwinism is justification for racism because if white people could do industrialization, white people are superior, and they justify it with Darwin's use. Did Charles Darwin create the theory of evolution in order to support racism? No. No, he did not. No, he did not. It was scientific discovery. It was just used as a weapon. Alright.
What
Of course.
What did the U.S. gain from the Spanish-Cuban American War?
Okay. It concreted Monroe Doctrine. It concreted the Monroe Doctrine, which means the United States is officially getting into everybody's business. This is important for multiple reasons there, Dean, especially when we get to period 6, when we get involved in all that stuff. The biggest thing you need to know about the Spanish-Cuban American War is that Spain has lost its influence in the Western Hemisphere. They're the last country to hold on to power here in the Western Hemisphere. It concretes the U.S.'s control over the Western Hemisphere, and it officially makes us an imperializing power.
And which country gained their independence?
Haiti does, Cuba does, pretty much the Caribbean. And that's really all you need to know. Does that work? All right, to the boards, my darlings. Yes, John.
Can you go back to the nationalist slide?
Of course. Is this what you wanted?
Yes.
All right. On your whiteboard, please tell me what state was added by a political coup to the United States in the late 1800s. There's actually a really good movie on Netflix about the whole last Hawaiian princess. What? I know. Most of them have the answer, Lily. You're one of the last ones to have it, Lily. Oh my gosh, it's a really cute movie. Sophia, what is it? Hawaii. The last Hawaiian princess is like 17 or 18. In order to, once the political tension in Hawaii was gathering steam, her family sent her to some British family's house in England in order to learn, go to Oxford and stuff like that and learn British culture and all that stuff, and protect it from the United States. And then she falls in love with some white guy. And then she goes back to Hawaii and tries to save her country. She's kind of a boss. She starts a political conflict in New York when she lands in New York and says what the United States is doing to Hawaii is wrong. And she's like 17 years old. And like she's pretty boss. Pretty cool chick. But don't worry, she dies at age 22. With a broken heart. She lost her country. It's really sad. She lost her country.
The doctor go, she died with a broken heart.
Her heart failed and they don't know why. It's a broken heart, my friend. Don't worry. We've been selling Hawaiian culture for a while now, so you know. The United States is making lots of money. All right, here we go. That was sarcasm, in case you didn't know. All right, on your whiteboard, please tell me what is the name of the doctrine that the United States created in the late 1800s that justifies their involvement in everything Western Hemisphere? Alexandra. Monroe Doctrine. On your whiteboard, what is the name of the president who builds the Panama Canal and uses the Monroe Doctrine in order to justify their involvement? Good. No one wrote what I hate. Who is it? Reed.
Theodore Roosevelt.
Theodore Roosevelt. On your whiteboard, please tell me. What is the name of the war that starts because of the battleship, the Maine, which is a U.S. ship surrounding Havana, is going to be sunk? And we get pissed off, so we start a whole war over it. What is it, Vanessa? There you go. I hope that you hear by now, by the late 1800s, the United States is in their teenage years. We really are. We're just trying to, like, make our mark. We want our voices heard, so we just go around kind of bullying people because we want to be heard. Just like how you pick on people to make yourself feel better, yeah? Yeah, you do. The United States is doing this in the late 1800s. We're just, like, picking on people in the Western Hemisphere because we can, because we're more powerful than they are. So we do that. There'll be positive things that come out of it, and there's also negative things that come out of it. Obviously, economic imperialism is wrong, and it's only even more timely with what's happening today. All right, here we go. Who do we buy Alaska from? Putin has actually come out and said that this is one of the biggest mistakes that this country does. Who is it, Isabella? Russia. That world power would be totally different if the United States didn't own Russia because they would have more influence over here. Isn't that crazy? Could you imagine if like Putin was hanging out?
Isn't the
It'd be crazy.
dude, like ridiculed for his whole life?
Who? Putin?
No, when he made the purchase, and then
Yeah, he wasn't huge, but they needed the money. They needed the money because they were bankrupt. They were going bankrupt pretty quick. What is the major export coming out of the Pacific Islands? This is used in household products. It's a huge dependence and will be around for a long time. Jack,
Whale fat.
whale fat on your whiteboard. Please tell me what country is used as a penal colony. I am so hungry. I just thought you should know. Vanessa, what is it?
Australia.
Australia. On your whiteboard, please tell me whose work will eventually lay the foundation for social Darwinism, which will justify racism against Africans. What do we got? Sophia. Darwin. On your whiteboard, please tell me what are the 3 types of rulings of colonies? What do we call the 3 types of rulings of colonies? There's 3 types of way to govern them. And you're so proud of yourself. I'm proud of you too. Did you go to Dole when you went to Hawaii? You didn't? They have the best pineapple ice cream. It's pretty boss. We were there for 5 minutes to get ice cream. We literally walked in and walked right out. But it was good. It was kind of a long drive. The donuts?
They have like special donuts there.
At the Dole factory or in
No, just,
Hawaii?
like, in Hawaii. And they're really good. They don't have them
Oh, I didn't try the donuts.
here.
I'll have to tell McCray we have to go back. McCray, since we came back from Hawaii, he's threatened every 2 months to move to Hawaii. And he sends me job postings in Hawaii for teachers. What are the 3, Maya?
Direct rule, indirect rule, and
Don't erase it. Put a star next to the one that the French use. Put a star next to the one the French use. It is direct. Goodbye. Good luck tomorrow.
there's directed.
We got a lot done today. You're the only class to finish.
The